Hello, dear viewers, and welcome back to This Week in Canada's little extra segment that we have planned here today. We usually do news or like current events or something, but there's no news. So we're going to have fun and rank the provinces. Isn't that right, Nico?
That's totally right, Roberto.
So just be clear, this is my list of provinces.
I don't commend or indeed endorse anything Roberto says. I love all the provinces equally.
I don't. I have a list of 10 here in order based on how much I like them. But before we start, make sure you go down to the links below. Give us a like. Give us a subscription. Check out everything that we have. We have premium content. Join our mailing list. Buy a t-shirt or a mug. We have tons of stuff in the store there. Lots of fun stuff and ways for you to support us. Enough of that, though. I got a list that I got to go through real quick. And let's start at the logical place to start. We're going to start at number 10.
Number 10.
All right. So number 10 on my list of top 10 provinces, the worst province, I guess you would say, is British Columbia.
Yeah, see, this is where Roberto's list begins to go off. And isn't it interesting? That's the first one. I think British Columbia, I wouldn't want to live there. But it's certainly not as bad as Roberto says it is. I think there's some perfectly pleasant places to live there. It's beautiful. It's got a nice city of Vancouver. You know, careful with Victoria on the other hand. I hear there's lots of needles in the parks. Thank you, Aaron Gunn. But it's, it's perfectly nice province.
I think it's awful. See, there's a few things that are wrong with it in my eyes. One, what's the name going on there? It's British.
I think it's cool.
Columbia.
Yeah.
Sorry, Colombian. It makes no sense. I think the whole place should be called Kelowna.
It makes a lot of sense.
I think it would be way cooler. Anyway, number 9, we're moving on. Already I can tell this is going to get people mad. Number 9, I've actually rewritten it. I put in Saskatchewan at number 9. I had it way higher up in the list earlier, but I've tried to think about things I like about Saskatchewan, and I can't think of I even looked up like famous people from Saskatchewan, and there was nobody I recognized.
Andrew Scheer.
Smart, independent, objective organizations that are growing all the time, like the Post Millennial.
Yeah, Andrew Scheer. I also was like, at least Garnet Genouille is from Saskatchewan. And it's like, no, he's from the riding of Fort Saskatchewan, which is in Alberta. So nothing really there. Let me move. I don't think you would disagree with me there. It sounds like Nico.
No.
So let's move on to the next worst province. You can call it the third worst or just, 8th, I guess. We're going with Manitoba for a lot of the same reasons that I just said about Saskatchewan. I can't think of anything that really... I can't even think of what the second biggest city in Manitoba is. I think maybe Brandon.
Yeah, I think, I mean, whatever. I've been to Manitoba. I went to Winnipeg. I saw the sort of... you got like a human rights tower or something. And then I went up to Churchill to see some polar bears. Churchill was cool. Wouldn't ever want to live there. And Winnipeg was just a bit of a dump. It's not really, I don't know. Like, I'm sure the people there are perfectly nice, but it seems like civilization sort of ended at the Ontario-Manitoba border and didn't, start again until we reached sort of Alberta. So,
wow, that's pretty rough, man. That's way worse than what I have. But we're gonna just move on to our next one. I have at number 7. I have Nova Scotia. I was trying to figure out. I've never been out east. I've met people from out east. They're very lovely people. They look gorgeous. But the real question that's on my mind is, why is it not called New Scotland? In French, it's called New Scotland, Nouvelle-Écosse.
Well, it's Latin.
Yeah, okay, but get over it. Just call it New Scotland. And the second thing on my mind is, why do you even need a New Scotland?
Well, look, firstly, I've been to Nova Scotia, so already have higher points of credibility than Roberto here. I think Nova Scotia is a stunning place. I went on the Cabot's Trail. Halifax is a really nice city. You got a cool fort there.
Seems cool.
Yeah.
I'm not doubting that.
And like on top of that, I think the whole of it is just very, very pretty. Also, Nova Scotians are really cool.
Really nice people. I'm not doubting any of that.
So why is it 7th?
I think it should be called New Scotland. Moving on to number 6, Prince Edward Island. This is the real problem here. I've never been there. I've never met anyone that's been from there. I've never met anyone that's even gone there.
I went there.
So, what?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Yeah. So, lovely pink sand. You have to get on a bridge, Confederation Bridge, to get to PEI.
Wow.
My issue, I wouldn't actually disagree with your placement, but solely due to the fact that it shouldn't be a province. It should be a part of New Brunswick or something. It's just...
How many people are there?
Like none. I don't even...
Let's just do a quick search. We could... How many? 150,000. Okay, so we just looked it up. 150,000 people in Prince Edward. That Windsor has more people.
It's very pretty.
I'm sure it is, but okay. I guess my real problem is, why is it a province?
Yeah.
And I don't know. What do you guys do out there?
Yeah, I have a friend who lives out there, and he just seems to spend all his time just getting really drunk, which isn't a fantastic sign.
No, it seems like there's probably nothing to do, as places that drink a lot tend to do. Number 5, we're going up to Newfoundland and Labrador. I think this one, I actually just think this is exactly where Newfoundland and Labrador belong.
Again,
Canada
is
sorry, go on.
very nice.
Yeah.
I like pretty much all of these places. And again, Newfoundland and Labrador in a lesser country could easily be the number 1 spot. But because like a lot of these provinces are really, really nice, unfortunately it has to be 6th or 5th or wherever it is.
5th.
But like, again, really beautiful. I think St. John's is stunning. You can go whale watching with hippies.
The thing that's really holding back Newfoundland and Labrador is Labrador. I don't know what is up there. I imagine nobody. I know Labrador City's a thing. I've met someone.
I think it's just mining.
It's just mining, and
Yeah.
I think everyone there's real. I know a guy that met a guy from Labrador City and said he was miserable, just a bad guy. So Newfoundland and Labrador. If you ditch Labrador, I'd put Labrador as the 11th province, and Newfoundland would probably move up to 4 or 3rd.
Yeah.
Work on it. Number 4, we're going back to the prairies, to the Rocky Mountains. We're going with Alberta. This is where the list you're all doing pretty well. Being 4th is nothing to really scoff at. Alberta, I've met a lot of Albertans. They're all very nice people. I like their way of life.
Yeah. Michelle Rempel-Garner's from there.
Yes, she is. She's probably my
Actually, I
favorite.
think she's from like Saskatchewan or Manitoba, but she
Or
moved over
Oklahoma.
there.
Am I right?
Hey.
Am I right? But anyway, at this point, I've never been to most of Canada outside of Quebec and Ontario. So Alberta, I'm assuming I would like it. It's too cold though.
It does get cold.
If you're going to Edmonton,
I've heard in the winter in Edmonton, and perhaps I think we have a few Albertans watching, you have to like keep your car on because the batteries will like freeze up or something. Like it is just too cold.
if your city's nickname Edmonton is the gateway to the north, that sounds awful.
And who wants to go to the north?
A gateway is something like if you smoke weed, you'll end up doing opiates later.
Yeah.
Isn't that a gateway? I would
Yeah.
never want to go to the gateway of the north. So
It's not like it's a gateway to the south where there's things below it.
right, the
There's
north,
just-
you're going up to the territories, which I've noted here have nothing in them. Total of like less people than PEI. We didn't even put it as an honorable mention. It's not a province. So moving up to 3rd, and again, this is where I get controversial. This whole list is a little controversial. We're going up to New Brunswick. Now, Nico, I think would disagree with this placement, but let me tell you a little bit about New Brunswick. I met a girl from New Brunswick, really nice girl. Her name was Bianca. She was black. I didn't know there was black people in New Brunswick. And she said, I asked her if she ever experienced racism. She said, no, it's totally a nice place. The other thing about New Brunswick is that it's bilingual. It's Canada's only bilingual province.
Outside Quebec.
What?
Quebec's bilingual.
Not officially.
Ontario's bilingual.
Not officially.
All right, sorry.
So Quebec is only French. Ontario's only English. New Brunswick, though, on the other hand, is the only one that recognizes both. I think a lot of people dismiss New Brunswick as like a crappy place. Maybe would put it lower down on the list than me, but I like it, and I like the Acadian history. I like the whole thing that they got going on there.
Yeah.
I think it's nice. I like the Cajuns. They're like basically Cajuns there. That's hilarious.
So if I were to come up with this list, New Brunswick would be bottom. I like the Acadians. I think they're kind of cool. And I kind of like your provincial politics. I think you guys are doing a good job there. But like, imagine being a bad version of Nova Scotia. You don't have access to the sea. You don't have any of that sort of lobster culture, I don't think. It's just sort of like a weird mix of the bad parts of Quebec and the bad parts of Nova Scotia. I think if PEI was a part of your province, you'd be 9th. But still, it's just, it's probably my least favorite province by a long margin.
They do have tons of access to the sea, by the way. That was
it's
one
not
of
the real sea.
Yeah, it is. What are you talking about?
Well, not the ocean, I mean.
They have lots of border on the water, so I think that's not fair. But anyway, we're gonna move on.
Also, the whole province is controlled by one family, the Irvings, and apparently politics, business, everything is dominated by this family, who are like one of the richest families in Canada, but all their wealth is located in New Brunswick, which is quite a poor province, which means they just have total power over everything, which isn't something I'm totally in for.
Sean Kingston almost died in New Brunswick. Did you know that?
Sean Kingston.
Yeah, he got in a ski-doo accident. This is what my friend Bianca told me from earlier. She said that they canceled a concert and he got in a ski-doo accident, and then she saw him at the Boston Pizza, which is the only place, the only restaurant in St. John or something. So let's move on to, that was a lot on New Brunswick. Let's move on to number 2, which is Quebec. Quebec, I've spent the second most time in. Obviously, you can probably guess what number 1 is, but I think Quebec would be number 1 if they just got rid of the French.
See, I like the French.
I'm not talking about the French like people. I'm saying the French language. I would be. Here's the weird
But
scenario.
it's a beautiful language. And it adds that, like, you can't have Quebec without the French, and you know that. You're just Roberto's
no.
saying this for shock value.
No. You're missing. Yeah, I have this weird utopia in my mind where there's still like a kind of unity issue, you know, but it's just people with a French accent. And then people without a French accent.
That'd be cool.
That's what I want.
Yeah.
But the problem with not being able to speak any English, I mean, it is kind of driving me nuts. I can't get over it. And I've tried to learn French, but they get mad. They gatekeep the language, where it's like they want you to learn, but then if you mess up anything when you speak to them, they get pissed, and they'll come up to you and just start speaking to you in English that's worse than your French. So you're just stuck. You don't really know what to do.
Quebec City. Yeah, okay. Firstly, here's why I like Quebec so much. You have 2 wonderful cities. Quebec City is stunning. I think one of the most attractive cities in Canada. Probably the most attractive city in Canada.
Probably.
You know, this could be a town in northern France. It's stunning. It has a rich culture. You know, just unbelievably beautiful. The only walled city north of Mexico. And you also have Montreal, which has its own vibe going. You know, Bobby and I live here at the moment. And you know, I'm a big fan of Montreal. I think, again, it has its own unique culture, which can't really be found anywhere else in North America.
This is all true.
You know, and I love the San Laurent River. I think it's a beautiful thing. You know, it's just nice.
Would
Quebec's
you
nice.
on your list, would you put Quebec as number 1?
It'd be a top contestant.
Okay, well, as if you are able to follow along with my list here, you already know that Ontario's number 1. You know, Ontario gets a lot of it has some problems. You know, it's going through some hard times, but I was born there. I actually can't really justify putting it number 1, which is maybe not good, but because there's a lot of things wrong with it. I hate Toronto. I think it's one of the worst cities in the world, and like include all of them. I think it's down there. Windsor, I left because it was boring, but I like the people. It's the people that really make it for me, and it's beautiful. I mean, if you go out by the Great Lakes, like up by Lions Head,
Lake Superior,
all the like Lake Superior. and
Lake
there,
Superior. I went to Wawa in Northern Ontario, and Lake Superior is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been.
It's amazing. It's beautiful. And that's really what it has going for it. I think otherwise there's not a whole lot going for it.
I totally disagree. Go
ahead.
I really like Ontario. I also take a less or perhaps more generous view of Toronto. It's still not my favorite city in the world, but I think it's a perfectly acceptable place to live. I think Ottawa is quite nice. I think Ottawa's a bit boring, but it's very pretty, and it's the nation's capital, and that has to mean something. What I don't like is the GTA. I think Toronto is nice, but the sort of sprawling suburbs you get, you know, places like Markham or Vaughan are pretty unpleasant places to live, or like Mississauga. But like Toronto itself is fine. Kingston's cool. I just think, Ontario has a lot going for it, and it's the most populous province as well.
The worst thing about Ontario is Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
Which almost makes me want to bring this one down to number 2 and Quebec number 1.
Niagara Falls is horrible.
I'm not going to do that. But Niagara Falls is the worst place. It's even worse than Toronto.
It's so depressing.
It's like imagine Las Vegas, but it's for kids and also has no heart. It's like, oh, look, there's the Ripley's Believe It or Not building. Do you want to go see what the world's tallest man looked like for $90?
It's really horrible.
It's one of the worst things in the world. Anyway.
And the waterfall. Like, here's the thing about, look, with wonderful natural things, it's great to look at once or twice, but you get bored of it. You can get bored pretty easily looking at Niagara Falls.
The Grand Canyon, any of it.
Yeah,
you know?
It's just like, oh, great. Yeah, cool. What is really nice about the world, like proper tourist attractions, is stuff that humans made, because actually quite a lot went into it. Whereas these wonderful things like waterfall is just natural, random, whatever. It's erosion. Who cares? So I went to Iceland, and everyone's like, wow, Iceland is so beautiful. I was like, yeah, it's cool, but it's not like great. It's like a pretty average country. I'd actually say it's a less than average country, because it's just like Reykjavik is made by the sort of materials that they have in shanty villages in West Africa. It's not very nice. And anyway, sorry, but Ontario is cool.
Wow. Well, I guess we'll put Iceland at number 11 and then Labrador at like 10.5. Yeah. And then then the rest of my list I think still stands. So thank you very much for joining us on this really weird list. This was just something we wanted to do, put it out there. It's on the record. I'm totally serious. You can message me if you want.
I'm not serious.
You can message me on my Twitter at Robertopedia. DM me. My DMs are open. I'll have a conversation with you about it, and I will defeat you. I've never lost an argument. Is actually one of my favorite things to say about myself. It's an old family expression. The Wake Girls have never lost an argument. So go ahead. The Cruises have lost a few arguments. The Spaniards got them pretty good. But so anyway, thank you very much for watching. Make sure you go to the links below. We have plenty of stuff, more content like this on the way, hopefully. We have premium content that's free right now. We have T-shirts. You can buy a mug.
CBC sucks, guys.
CBC sucks mug. You can buy a T-shirt that I don't have on today. You can see I'm dressed for baseball after work. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. Is that all?
Ta-da.
Ta-da.